beefing world. My name's Ben Johnson.
My name is Richard Ross.
And today we have a super show for you. We have a beef of reef keeping. Is it purely entertainment, or is it responsible husbandry, or is it something different? And we're also going to talk a lot about keeping or not keeping octopus. What's going on, Richard?
Not much, Ben. It's been a good week. You know, I'm very excited because I found out that the ReefBeef podcast was voted the #1 foul language reef podcast by the Reef Podcast Foul Language Academy.
No shit. That is very niche. That's very niche.
#1.
What other foul, reef podcasts are there?
It doesn't matter. We're #1.
We're #1 in a field of one.
That
#1 is all that counts.
that makes us sound even better somehow.
It does, because #2 is the first loser.
The first loser. If you're not first, you're second or third or fourth.
You're losing or whatever. Hey, with this, let me just say real quick, this show is brought to you by Terra Reef, and we are thankful for that, but more on that crap later.
Yeah, and if we're doing that, let's also say if you're into ReefBeef, go to reefbeefpodcast.com and become a member. And you should become a member or buy us a beer. It's great. They're almost comparable prices. But what you can get if you become a member is you can go to Ask ReefBeef, and you can ask us questions. We'll answer the questions on the show, which we really enjoy doing. So we want people to do that.
And Snowman told us to, when you go there, you hit notify, so you can be notified of future episodes.
Yeah, if you want to be notified of future episodes when they come out, rather than stumbling upon them on the internet like one does, go click on notify on reefbeefpodcast.com.
Hey, and on that buy us a beer thing, this beefer named Jose Estevez, he's the frickin' man. Because he bought us a bunch of beers.
Thank
you.
And sometimes we buy beers with that. Sometimes we give beers to the homeless with that, because that's what we do. And sometimes we pretend like Ben will eventually have a different technical setup and actually get it to work. So we do things like get you merch and get us set up better and stuff like that. So every little bit helps, and it also makes us feel good and makes us want to do the show more. So that's pretty awesome. So thank you, beefers, for all the beefy support.
And hey, I wonder, is Jose Estevez, if he is related to Emilio Estevez?
Oh God, I hope he's related to the Repo Man Emilio Estevez and not the Mighty Ducks Emilio Estevez.
That one for sure.
Yeah.
No
I
one
think
wants
he
hockey.
is. I think he is.
Okay.
What are the odds that he wouldn't be? I mean, it's the same name.
And that's how many Estevez, just like Johnson. I mean, it's not like there's Johnsons like hanging off of a tree. That sounds weird. Get your Johnson off of that tree.
There's so many Johnsons hanging on my tree.
Yeah.
Damn Johnsons.
So
they're everywhere. Oh, we had a couple things from last week that we wanted to get off our chests. I think one of them was a couple episodes. I said something about humblefish clearly being a religious in origin. The name of the humblefish site, humble.fish. There's a forum there. It's a lot about great QT and medical advice for your aquarium. But it's also a bigger community, and it's gotten bigger since that big community started discriminating against people. People have been leaving and finding other homes. So I like Humblefish a lot. So it turns out, according to Brian Humblefish himself, that the name Humblefish has got nothing to do with religion. It's got to do with him being a humble guy in his how he in regards to his knowledge about fish medications and keeping.
You know what? I got a little confused when you first mentioned them, because several years ago, I was trying to figure out something about medicating fish, and someone sent me to, it might have been Reef Central that he was on, and as his name Humblefish.
He gets around.
It was an incredible write-up. I think it was on low salinity.
Yeah, no, he's great. He's got great information, and he insists that it's not religious. but he does happen to be religious, and people do say humble fish when regards to religion. So, but we're going to give him the benefit of the doubt and say that I was wrong and he was right. So awesome. We like them. We like Brian either way.
Good job.
Yeah. What did you had something you wanted to mention and we didn't have time?
Oh, man, this is kind of like reaching far back, but I kept kicking the can down the road. But we had, man, it was, I believe it was like episode number 5 or something, way back in the annals of reef beefdom. But so we did a whole thing on pumps and cleaning them with muriatic acid or whatnot. And CJ sent us some basically, I don't remember what they call it, but it's like citric acid. And we both tried it and it worked well. It worked well for me too, but I want to be completely 100% honest about my feelings about it, which I still continue to use 10% diluted muriatic acid because it works very fast and I am very used to it and being around it. And when I'm cleaning a tank and need to clean like the wet end of an MP40, like I really need to do that pretty quickly. I can't sit around and wait for it. And so I still continue to use 10% because nothing, I mean, I can't say nothing, but nothing, you know, that I'm not scared of is faster than 10%. And though the CJ product did work real well, but it still took like an hour or two to be as effective as 10%. So, but here's my caveat on it. That's me using it. If I owned a store or if I owned my maintenance company is just me. If I had employees, like I would not direct someone to just use 10% muriatic acid. Just the implications of it going wrong are not something I'm comfortable with. So in that regard, I would give my employees the CJ product, but just because I wouldn't tell anyone else to mess with muriatic acid besides.
Look, you know, there's people in the hobby who want to dink around with stuff on their own. And there's people who want to buy the stuff off the counter and, you know, off the shelf. And that cleaning product, I like it. I didn't measure it. I just poured a bunch of it in and cleaned my pumps, and it took about 10 minutes, and I thought it was great. And then, you know, if I run out of muriatic, I might get that stuff again because it was great. But, you know, if you want to buy it off the shelf, and you don't want to mess around with muriatic, and there's really good reasons not to mess with muriatic, it's a great way to clean your pumps that avoids the possible issues that vinegar might have with some plastics. So,
you know, one thing, and this is just a casual observation that I noticed though, and so I'm not sure what the science behind this is, but when I did use the CJ product, when I use muriatic acid, it's crazy because it will dissolve like the calcareous. Didn't you tell me one time it was calcareous?
I'm not telling you anything, man. Part of the beauty of this show is seeing how you pronounce words.
Yeah. Well, it dissolves the calcareous algae, but it's weird. It leaves like the organic material behind. And when I did the CJ product, it seems to not eliminate, but it seems to do a little bit more than muriatic does. It's just the part that I don't like. It takes a little longer than muriatic.
Yeah, I guess it depends on what you're using it for. The muriatic is going to go after your calcareous algae and coralline algae.
See.
Oh, what?
Calcareous.
How did you pronounce it? Calcareous?
It was what algae.
The buffer the acid, the more it's going to go after that stuff first. The less buff the acid, it's going to go after that stuff a little slower. Well, I just put the CJ, I just put it in either way, and then the pump, and then I wipe off the prop, and then I put it back in. So I didn't notice much, but you noticed you got more coralline growing on your stuff than maybe I did. So what's the point? The point is, if you're scared of muriatic, which are good reasons, use the CJ stuff. Yeah, we're not just for advanced crazy people. We're for new people too.
New people too.
New people. Welcome, new people, to the hobby.
Welcome, beeflets.
Beeflets.
You young beef cutlets.
Little veals.
Hey, you know who is a good person to talk to about cephalopods?
James Wood, Elizabeth Nitz, Tony
But also,
Morelli, Declan
but besides them,
Pat Bolstad,
Volstagg.
Bolstad,
Ah, but
Chrissy
also probably
Hufford,
you.
me. I,
Yes.
I have been known to know some things about cephalopods. Yes.
So you know a lot about octopus, and I only know minor stuff. So let me ask you a bunch of dumb questions.
Cool. There's a lot. Yeah, it's like seahorses. It's a niche within a niche.
Yeah.
It's a little shelf on the side of the Bureau of Aquarium Keeping. Cephalopods.
Cephalopods. First off, let me ask you, what's the proper nomenclature? Isn't there like several different things? Octopus, octopuses.
For the plural of octopus?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, the most common one you hear is octopi. Octopi, which isn't really proper because it's a Greek root, not a Latin root. So, and people fight about this. It's amazing. People get so crazy about this. So really the most proper one is going to be octopuses. Although because it's a Greek root, the really most proper one is going to be octopodes.
Oh, okay.
But if you say that, people hate you even more than just for being a person who likes cephalopods.
Yeah, but there's people I like a lot in the industry, and they say acropora, and I'm just like, huh? But they know so much more than me. I just shut up.
But that's even harder because that's just the Latin words, and Latin is a dead language. So it's kind of like people fight about how that's pronounced. So we could have an argument about how octopodes is pronounced as well, unless we asked a Greek person.
But that's just semantics.
No, that's pronunciation.
Okay, whatever.
Whatever.
Quit pissing on my parade.
But octopi is actually okay. Because when you bring a word into English, you can Latinize it. So is actually okay. But we all say all us in the science circles and in the shelf on the side of the Bureau of Reef Keeping say octopuses. We don't say octopi.
Is there any octopi that hang out with each other? I mean, they don't move in groups.
There's a few that have been found. The larger Pacific striped octopus, one of the ones I studied. We have a paper out. It's great. They're really cool. They seem to live gregariously. No one is. They don't have a Latin name yet or a scientific name. They're just a larger Pacific striped octopus. They live in groups and they can pair up and trio up. That's what we saw in aquariums. No one's actually filmed them in their natural habitat.
Is that the cold water one?
Is temperate. It's like 68, 70 degrees. It's not really cold.
Okay.
And then there's another species off the coast of Australia that live in a group, but it seems that group is artificial. So there's a midden where there's a lot of scallops and scallop shells. So there's a lot of food for these octopus, and they live near each other. Like
they don't cooperate opening things or finding things.
No, but they don't kill each other, which is the exciting part. And it's really cool. They've called the place where they live Octopolis, which I think is really awesome. And they've named, like, there's a cool pose what they do to intimidate each other instead of attacking each other. They just like they go like this. They get
just bow up
really big and get dark. And they call it the Nosferatu pose.
Are you serious?
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
On the streets, we call that frontin'.
Frontin'. Well, in Australia, they call it Nosferatuin.
Wait, what is their city called?
Octopolis.
That makes me feel like there's one like evil leader octopus.
Yeah, and then there's like a bat octopus that saves them.
They fight all the time. Arch nemesis.
There's the Justice League of octopuses.
Yeah. So the thing that I get, having worked in stores for so long, like new hobbyists, and you know, again, we could almost have a show on this because this is tricky, but a brand new hobbyist will come into a store, and like a lot of times their motivation for being in the store in front of you is sometimes just like they want to keep something, and then you may feel like, because, you know, for me working in stores, it was always sharks, or, you know, people would say piranhas, which are illegal here in Texas, or, you know, people always want to keep weird stuff like stingrays, which really aren't that difficult, but there's certain requirements, you know. Octopus do come up, but it's like, man, it's like a whole, you know, and then it's a whole way to keep them because they can get out of damn near anything. The other problem too is then, you know, they would come back later and say, could I keep a lionfish with my octopus? And it's like, dude, I mean, you tell me, but pretty much if you keep an octopus, there's very few tank mates that could go with it.
Yeah, I coined a phrase that we use at Tonmo now, that keeping a fish with octopuses works till it doesn't.
Yeah.
You know, you always, and somebody will say, you know, on forums when this comes up, not on Facebook groups, just Facebook groups are like the worst. I don't know what to do with Facebook groups. They're like, it's like Arkham, you know?
Yeah.
It's why would you go to Arkham for advice about anything except for being an evil mad person? It's just, there's no way to vet anybody, and people are mean, and it's crazy. And some of them actively want to not have information. In fact, the beef just folds into this. The beef this week is actually an older beef, but it doesn't matter. Who cares? There's a Facebook octopus group where one of the people was the owner PM'd a friend of mine from Tonmo who was on there answering questions and saying, hey, go to Tonmo. And the owner of the group said, hey, don't mention Tonmo, please, because, you know, I just want people to have fun with octopuses. I don't want them to get bogged down in, you know, doing it right. And it's like, what are you talking about, you jack off?
Wait, real fast though, tell me what you mentioned. Tonmo or Tomo?
Tonmo. Tonmo.com, TONMO.com. The Octopus News Magazine Online.com.
Oh, okay.
And it's kind of the place, you know, when anybody emails me and asks me where to go, or ask me for octopus information, I just say, go to Tonmo. You know,
so those are basically hobbyists. So that pertains to like keeping them from at a hobbyist level.
It does that, and it also is at a science level. You know, there's straight up scientists who talk about cephalopod research. There's cephalopods and culture. It's everything about cephalopods under one roof, and that's where all the good info is, and that's where to go, because it's such a small niche. It's like, I started going there because I wanted good information, and I stayed there, and I keep sending people there because that information gets fragmented. It's like when someone says, how do you keep an octopus? It's like, I'm not going to type out a whole thing right now for you on how to keep it. Go to Tonmo and read the care section, and it's there. You know, the information is already written. We don't need to do it all again, you know?
No, I mean, and that applies to a lot, and not to be like a dick. But it depends if someone's like approaching me, you know, in my deal as a business, they ask me a question. Yes, of course I answer their question. But if someone's just like, oh, how do you keep a reef tank? It's like, dude, I need to write a book for you or something.
Right.
Like how do I do a bonsai tree? Like I can't tell you that in 5 minutes. It's just
right. And
I'll be more than happy to join you on your little journey and answer some questions, but
and that's most of the questions I see on the Facebook groups is it's just like, how do you do it? And then somebody says, you get one, you put it in a box, and they go, okay. And it's like, what?
Oh, by the way, we will link to Tonmo in the show notes.
Or Tonmo. It depends on who you talk
to.
It's like,
you know how I got to pronounce everything weird.
It's a cropper or acropora. Depends on. Oh my God. Oh my good mighty beef.
What's going on, beef?
Beef, 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 beef. Oh my God. So this week's episode is brought to you by Terra Reef. Terra Reef, not Reef. Terra Reef. Terra Reef.
And it's not even that though. It's shop.terrareef.com.
Great. Thanks, Ben. I mean,
Well,
they're still called Terra Reef. It's just the website is shop.terrareef.com.
okay, I thought I had you painted into a corner, but I guess not, Magneto.
No, you don't even have any paint. Terrareef.com. Ben and I have both ordered from them. They're wholesale retail. We like their stuff. I just did a bunch of work in my tank, moving some stuff around while I'm recovering from the recoveringness that I had to. And one of their stylo frags I had behind something and I moved it up front and center. It looks fantastic.
Yeah, 100% aquaculture.
Yeah, they got a WYSIWYG section so you can show them your WYSIWYG.
Their shipping is cheap.
Or
cheaper than like cheaper than a few cans of beer or like several Texas food bowls.
And they have lots of sale items and they do the coolest thing in the world that they're the only vendor I've seen do it. I've seen public aquarium people do it, but they're the only vendor I've seen who, when you get that box, you know, when you get a box of stuff from a person, reef stuff, and you open up the box and the styrofoam's in there and you want to open the styrofoam box lid, but you can't because they've taped it shut. And then you got to like,
and then you try to pull it out and it kind of makes a vacuum. And then you just fall on the floor crying and your wife asks you what's wrong and you tell her that you need a therapist.
Yep. And she goes, I know you need a therapist. I live with you. This will save your marriage. He puts a little tab up. It says pull here and you pull it and it pulls the tape like a zipper right off. And you can open the styrofoam without taking it out of the cardboard outer.
Do you know if you pull it fast enough, it throws all the bags in your water for you and the acclimation process begins?
Yeah, I do. I do know that. Oh, actually, I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Hey, but when you make an order, put like hashtag ReefBeef sucks or I'm a beefer or, you know, something like that. And he'll send you a treat.
A treat. Maybe it'll be some actual beef.
Yeah, cooked or uncooked. Who knows?
Just a hunk of beef taped next to the hand warmer.
Maybe like a little nickel bag of ground beef.
So we thank the Terra Reef has sponsored us a bunch of times and we really appreciate it. So if you need some frags that are aquacultured, which is super awesome, you know, check them out. And yeah, do it till you're satisfied. Yeah. Oh, it says John will send you, if you say Reef Beef sucks or I'm a beefer or something related to this particular episode, he'll send you some free flag plugs or a coral or something.
I bet if you say something about a nickel bag of ground beef, he'll send you the greatest prize.
I bet you that's right. So shop.terrareef.com. Oh my God. Oh my good mighty beef.
What's going on, beef?
Beef. Oh my God.
So I want you to tell me this like point blank. Okay, wait, you're trying to say something.
Yeah, there was a thing about, I wanted to, you know, you'll always find somebody online who says, I'm keeping my octopus with fish and it's fine. Right. And then 3 months goes by and you never hear from that person again. And you know what happened, right?
Oh yeah.
One of them ate the other one. So it's, you know, and there's been some success in places like Monterey at the Tentacles exhibit with big tanks and things like that. But it is really, you're just rolling the dice. And that's a thing I think people should be really wary of doing in this hobby, given the state of the world and the state of the pressure and the dark hobby video coming out, which we'll have to talk about in a whole nother episode. We won't do that today. Yeah. But you know, as we get more and more eyes on us, which we will and are we doing things well or are we assholes? We want to not be assholes. I mean, we want to not be assholes anyway, but
yeah,
especially while people are looking.
But I was just thinking about this while you were talking. We're kind of, which this is totally fine, but our beef is kind of related to our main story about the octopus. And I realize we're kind of flipping back and forth a little bit with that. But so at the beginning of the show, I said, you know, purely entertainment or responsible husbandry. So, I mean, man, my whole life is devoted to keeping creatures in a box. I mean, yes, it's entertainment, but I mean, if you stick with this, I mean, how in the crap? And that's like my goal, which I'm not in a store anymore, but it was always my goal when I was in a store. You come into the store, and like my goal was always to educate you as much as I could, because yes, this is entertaining, but if you only see it as entertainment, then I mean, then we're some gnarly like warlords that put something in a box and shoot at its feet. Dance for me, dance.
Right. It seems a little different than painting or
Yeah.
riding a dirt bike or flying a kite or collecting stamps.
God,
Or
I'd say this till I'm blue in the face, and it's like I've been saying this for a long time. It's just like, yes, this is entertaining, but these are life forms. And I know you might look at some, oh, it's just a fish. Like, I really don't want to share a space with people like that in my hobby. Like, do I have an altar to yellow tangs and I worship them? No, but I mean, everything I bring into my house, alive like that for my hobby, I respect it. I want to know as much as possible about it. I want to know what it eats, how big it gets, what it gets along with, what it doesn't. Can I take care of it? Do I have the right stuff right now? Because, man, if there's anything that's annoying to me, like having worked in a store for so long, people will buy a creature with plans in the future to properly house or take care of it at that point. And it's like, no, man,
yeah,
like
it's
do
hard.
do as Yoda says, do or do not. There is no try.
Yeah, it's like, and it, I mean, I wrote a couple articles about this, the ethics in skeptical reef keeping. I think it's Skeptical Reef Keeping 6. And I think a lot of it, and we're not the first ones to talk about this. Peter Singer, Animal Ethics. This is a thing, and do fish feel pain and all that kind of stuff is all interesting. But wherever you fall on that, it is a living thing, and almost all of them are living things brought to you from the wild. So it feels like you should treat them with some respect. If you this is not a cultured orchid that you get at the supermarket for $5. There's a clear difference between a fish and a plant, right? So, if you let a plant die, the plant died. That's kind of shitty, right? Why would you, just let the plant die? But plant doesn't have a brain. It clearly doesn't react to stimuli in the same way that vertebrates do. So these animals should be treated with some kind of respect. It wasn't that long ago that people treated dogs and cats the way the bulk of Americans treat fish now, or the bulk of Americans treat factory farm animals. But let's leave that to the side because people freak out about that. But if you got a dog and you said, yeah, I don't have any food or a place for it to sleep or anything, but I'm just going to pick it up today and I'll get everything it needs next week, most Americans would be upset with you.
Yeah.
And rightfully so. And while there is a difference between fish and dogs, the principle is kind of the same. It's, why would you get an animal?
I still see people even doing these sort of things, like say with dogs. Now, yeah. We can argue about how like egregious some of this is or not, but like, people getting like Dalmatians that don't exercise them much, where the Dalmatian is a very like exercise needy dog. Stuff like that. Like the special operations community uses Belgian Malinois. So whatever gets popular, people are like, oh, cool. SEALs use Belgian Malinois. So honey, let's get a Belgian Malinois. They're incredibly smart and incredibly hyper. And if you don't challenge them and exercise them, that they will like tear your house apart. And then you're trying to return the Malinois somewhere, and it's like, you probably should have figured that out beforehand.
Yeah, but you don't return an animal, you jackass.
I know.
Right. And, we saw the problem with German Shepherds when German Shepherds got popular, and then breeders started breeding them, and then bad breeders started breeding them. And then we got crazy, terrible, not good animals, right? Not good genetics. And then it happened with Dobermans, and then it happened with Rottweilers, and then it happened with pit bulls, and all those breeds are fine. They're not fine when they're overbred as trophy animals, as check out the animal I got, rather than I got this animal because I want this companionship, or I have a real don't get a freaking sheepdog if you're not going to exercise,
and throw it in an apartment. Yeah,
it's bred to run around all day, so that's what it's.
I mean, don't buy a wiener dog and not feed it wieners.
Right, and don't buy a Pomeranian just because.
Because they're ugly.
Or pugs have real problems.
Yeah,
if you buy a pug, it's going to be a problem. We have hairless dogs, right? And we so they've got to be, their skin needs a little bit of extra care. They need exercise.
Do you rub lotion on them?
We coconut oil.
You do, really?
Yeah. And
you rub your little doggies.
I do. I rub my doggy. So if you get an animal, when we used to have Sphinx cats.
Yeah.
But they have a genetic defect or a genetic propensity to have heart failure at around 7 to 12 years old.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say that they like summon Horus, or like bring like a plague of scarab beetles upon the lands.
All cats do that. And it didn't used to be like that, but they're bred a lot now, and so we're not going to get that animal anymore because it's too harsh when their hearts give out. It's sad.
Yeah, I had a Great Dane, was one of the best dogs that I had, but I mean, I knew going in, like they called them heartbreak dogs.
Yeah,
she made it about 7 years, but I mean, if you can put that into perspective, she's one of the best dogs I ever had, and I enjoyed that 7 years that I had with her.
Yeah, and you need to be aware that that's an issue, right? So when our cat started having, some of them died very quickly from it, but it's like, when they're 7 years old, you start looking for it so you can reduce their suffering as much as you can. And so we've decided not to get them anymore. Oh my God. Oh my good mighty beef.
What's going on, beef?
Beef. Oh my God.
Richard, if you're a beefer,
yeah,
and you really like what we're putting down here,
oh yeah,
like what are the ways that you could support us?
Yeah, you can support us by becoming a member. Is probably the number one way. We've got 4 different levels of membership that you can membership yourself with. Yeah, so go to reefbeefpodcast.com/membership
and hit the notifications too.
Yeah, sign up for notifications and you'll get all the newest beef in your inbox.
You know what I would love to do?
What would you love to do, Ben?
I would love to get a lot of beefer questions off of the membership, and have an entire show on just answering like very specific questions.
Oh yeah, Ben and I like to talk about all kinds of bullshit, but we do know some stuff about reef keeping, and we would love nothing more than to be your reef beefers.
Even if you
personal reef beefers.
Maybe even if you just want to know if you should put a skimmer on your little tank, or if you should break up with your wife because she tells you not to keep anglerfish.
Or break up with your husband because he tells you not to keep anglerfish.
Or, get rid of your children because you want to keep
anglerfish.
Anglerfish. Just any questions pertaining to anglerfish.
Yeah, reef questions. We'll be your bastion of beef.
Bastion of beef. We'll be your beef brigade.
Your beef brigade.
Wait. How many subscribers do we need for you to be doing the show under your crawl space? 500?
500. I don't even know how. Oh, we should.
We're in the 300s right now.
In the 300s, so it's coming up soon.
On, like tell your neighbors, like people that don't even like reef tanks.
Just
get those subscribers up.
Just inflate our numbers with click farms. We don't care. Oh, that would be awesome. And at 2,000 subs, Ben will be in spandex.
You know, I'm not too worried about that because we've been inching our way to you being in a crawl space, and I am so far away. Look over yonder on that hill. That's me. That's me waiting in a spandex costume, and I'm so far away.
I see you in the future there, Ben. It's
no,
glorious.
that's a mirror. That's a mirror.
Thank you, Beefers. Thank you, Beefers. Help us develop the content you want to hear us talk about. We appreciate you. Oh my God. Oh my good mighty beef.
What's going on, beef?
Beef, 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 beef. Oh my God. So anyway, we're talking about mammals a lot, but it's the same with fish. If you're going to get, fish live 20, 30 years, Well,
it's like people buying parrots too that last real longer, turtles, tortoises.
Yeah. So we're not special. I think a segment of our hobby feels like, how do people not know this? And look at what happened though. Look at what happened with all those look what happened with the parrots, right? You can't really get wild parrots anymore because bad things happened and they were smuggled in. And so lots of laws came down. Same with a lot of reptiles, right? Which is all good. I got to say, it's only a matter of time before that happens with the fish and the corals. Yeah. It looks like already there may be an Indo shutdown coming again. So,
man, it's interesting. I mean, hell, that's our hobby. It's just interesting that humans, I'm kind of thinking philosophically here, but it's just interesting that we get so driven to like keep certain animals on our own. I mean, Lord knows I got bit by that bug. I've had savanna monitors and boa constrictors, and I've had so much stuff myself.
But I assume besides the learning curve, which there is on animals, which is kind of harsh anyway, right? You know that you're going to experience loss and things like that. Yeah. I guess I feel like that's okay as long as the person's really trying, right?
Yeah.
And what bothers me the most is when people are like, I want an octopus because it looks awesome. It's like, that's a terrible reason to get an octopus. Get a painting of an octopus.
Yeah.
Don't get an actual octopus.
So let me pause you there because there was a question I was going to ask you okay, ready, pause. It was a question I was going to ask you earlier in that, okay, Richard, look at me.
I'm looking.
Don't give me some like bullshit answer that you feel like you need to give. Tell me what is just straight up, dude. Tell me punk rock. Tell me what's in your heart. Do you think random people should be keeping octopus or not?
No, not at all.
Okay, thank you for that.
Absolutely
real
not.
answer. Okay.
No, I wrote an article for Practical Fish Keeping last year that basically said, don't get an octopus unless you're a nut.
Yeah. Which they're out there.
Yeah, which is fine. But yeah, no, octopuses are not for everyone, and they're heartbreak animals. They don't live long. They're just not good.
I had someone ask me about cuttlefish recently too, and I told them that they remind me of true chameleons, like Jackson's veiled, like on a good day, they just don't live for a long time. It's not a long-lived creature. So if you have a problem with that,
they need special conditions. And when they're small and as they grow up, what they need changes.
Yeah.
Right. So when we do cuddles and they're tiny, you can pack them together in a small space. They get to a certain size, they start fighting, and you got to separate them. And then you got to really not have too many of them together. So it's.
Is your dog telling you it wants cocoa butter rubbed on itself?
I think there's a boy down a well somewhere.
Lassie, it's Timmy. He's in a well.
You know what? Fuck Timmy. Fuck that little asshole.
You know what? This is really just a cry for help. And Timmy's really just gonna,
No, you know what? You know what? We keep telling Timmy to stay away from the damn well, and he keeps playing at the well. So you know what?
I'm not scared. I'm not worried. Sorry, Timmy.
Not my Timmy.
If he crawls out on his own, then he can survive.
I think we should fill in that well with him still down there.
Concrete with a truck full of octopus.
Timmy is ruining everything for everyone else. Timmy is why we can't have nice wells.
So wait, so if you did your due diligence and you're studying, here's an interesting question. What would a tank for a simple tropical octopus look like?
Well, it'd be rectangular. No,
Well, I mean, like, I don't think you could do an overflow, correct?
you can do an overflow, but you got to screen it, and it depends on the size of the octopus. So you can screen it, which is fine. You can either put, foam over it and zip tie that in place, or use a real fine, Vexar plastic mesh. That's fine. You just got to make sure.
I mean, I normally wouldn't do this on saltwater aquarium, but it's like a canister filter would be okay.
Yeah, that'd be fine. That's another great way to go. Sure.
I mean, couldn't it even, like on an Eheim canister, couldn't it even, like, because they're intelligent, couldn't it remove the strainer right there and like get up the tube?
Whether intelligent or not, they can remove the strainer. They pull on everything, right?
Yeah.
So you got to make sure that whatever you've put over that strainer to prevent the octopus from going into the tube of the intake is affixed well. That's all.
There's
a bunch of ways to do that.
Yeah. And it's totally true. It's true as well that if you think like you want an octopus, and that's cool and that's great and do your studying, but then you're like, and then I want to put other stuff with it. Like, just stop. That's not going to happen.
Stop. But we were talking about controllers episode or two ago, and I was saying how, when you're starting, it's good not to have a controller, right? Or one of us was saying, somebody saying, these are not necessarily original thoughts. You don't want to learn the controller while you're learning how to keep a reef tank. It's a lot going on at the same time. Same with an octopus. Octopus has some specific needs that need some specific work and specific knowledge, right? It's way easier to get some keeping of a saltwater tank or a reef tank. I say a reef tank. Keep a reef tank for 6 months to a year before you go for an octopus.
It shouldn't be the first thing that you walked into the store to get.
Make all your stupid mistakes on cultured animals, and hopefully you'll minimize those too because you're trying. And then in 6 months or a year, you can set up an octopus system, and you'll see if you really want it or not. Right? You might get 6 months into reef keeping and go, this really isn't for me. This is more work than I thought, or I'm not as interested as I thought. I think that's a good rule of thumb for people getting into the hobby.
Yeah, the problem, species tanks are pretty cool. If that, like an angler fish or a mantis shrimp or a, stuff like this, where you really have to get just a small tank just to house that thing and observe it. And everyone's different. But what I always worry about is because I know people get bored of stuff. And a species tank is just that species on and on and on until it dies. And if you're totally cool with that, then hey, man, more power to you. But, the thing like, a year later, I'm bored of this octopus. Now I want to make it someone else's problem. That's not cool, man.
Not cool. I was just at Aquatic Collection today, and they had a really cool anglerfish. And I used to love anglers. Like I had 18-gallon tank in here before this was the lab, that I had an angler in for a long time.
I had a big orange one once. He was cool.
So great. And I was looking at it and going, ooh, ooh, ooh. And I went, what are you doing?
What color was he?
It was a white one. It was a wart skin.
Oh.
And I was like, that's really cool. And I was like,
was it one of those ones that almost looks piebald, where he's got like little sections of look like rock or sponge?
The ones that hide on sponges, but not a commerce, smaller.
That is so wicked.
I just went, I don't want to take care of that. I don't want to do the work that's required to keep that animal. So
what's so weird? Like anymore, a lot of times, I think I can't speak for everyone, but I haven't done aquariums for so long. Like sometimes I'll see something and I'll be like, man, that is really cool. And then I'll just kind of wish it was back in the ocean.
Right.
But I'm thankful of looking at it and observing it. But I think about, all the time and effort that I feel is necessary to put into something that you bring home with you. I'm like, I just want to just buy it and throw it back in the ocean or whatever.
Right. I'm on that end of it as well. Yeah. I'd rather see some really great video of Dr. Seuss fish than get a Dr. Seuss fish now.
And I don't want to be a jerk, because maybe like a cool person gets that and cares for it, and it has like a longer life than it ever would in the wild, and blah blah blah. But and again, I'm not trying to be negative, but I've been on the aquarium store side of things, you know, for a long time, and it's just, no offense, I just see a bunch of dipshits buying stuff and killing it.
That's, yeah, but that's what I'd like to avoid. I think it's a pipe dream. I think every hobby is like that at a certain extent. I just feel like we don't do much to deal with it, and we all think somebody else is going to educate people. And
well, and I used to argue with store owners, because I was usually like running the saltwater section, or you know, sometimes like managing it, but there were store owners, and sometimes they would order stuff, and it's like, why do we order this Spanish dancer nudibranch? We know it doesn't live. Why do we, you know, back in the days, you know, why do we order all these Goniopora? They're not going to last very long. And, you know, why'd you get this, you know, flounder? Like, but they would say, like, it causes interest and brings people in. I get it, but it's just, I just hate to watch cool stuff die for no damn reason.
Yeah. Animals shouldn't be loss leaders, I think.
Yeah.
You know, especially wild animals. You know, I've made the argument before that, you know, cultured clownfish, you know, if you want to buy them and hit them with a hammer, go for it. You know, that's obviously glib and blasé.
Yeah.
But, you know, a wild animal that's brought, you know, 15,000 miles to your house, it just feels like you want to respect it as much as you possibly can, and impulse buying it because it looks cool. And we've all done it. I just like to, you know, and we've also all been at stores where it's been the other way, where they won't, you know, they have impossible hurdles for you. I don't know. I keep coming back to, you know, some certification scheme for both stores and importers and hobbyists, you know, so at least they get out, you know, with some kind of best practices before they start.
I feel I had this, like, you know, I've been doing this for so long, but I've never had the thought that I wanted to own a store, because since I've worked at stores, like, I see all the rigmarole that goes along with it. And I want nothing to do with owning a store ever. But I feel like my store would look like, you know, that soap, that Dr. Bronner's soap with all that stuff written all over it.
Yeah.
Like, my store would look like crazy, like have signs hanging down, like, kind of, you know, some of them would be instructive, but also that's why I fear someone would be like admonishing a little bit. It's like people would just think I'm a lunatic, which I probably am, but welcome to my store.
Yeah, you don't look like a lunatic, so.
What are you trying to say, bruh?
That you look crazy, baby. I don't know. You know, God love all the store owners. Did I really just say that? I really did.
Yeah, you just invoked, you know, God.
The people who are out there with the store, you know, you got more patience than I do. And thank you, all the people who are running good stores. I really appreciate you. And I wish there was more of you. And I wish we could help you more and get more people successful, rather than, you know, and I wish you didn't have to even consider, you know, I know this is going to the wrong place, but I need to make ends meet. You know, I would love it not to be like that.
Yeah. I just cringe at the thought of, I think I read something a long time ago that, you know, that they were saying like raping the ocean for money. And that stopped me in my tracks. And I was like, dude.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
like,
you know, I bought some corals today. They were frags or cultured. You know, it's like, why buy anything else besides that unless you have a specific reason for it?
I mean, I've been doing this for a long time. Is when I set up a new reef, man, you know, and wholesalers think, oh, Ben, set up a new reef, like we're gonna sell them new stuff. But really, all I do is tear out stuff from my older reefs. I've even made entire reefs out of other people's reefs. And I mean, that's not something I made up. That's been going on for a long time. But you know, that has it has no impact on wild reefs. The other thing is, like, my profit margin on doing that is far higher.
It's badass, man. You know, it's like, you know, the supermarket approach to stores feels just incorrect to me for animals. You know, I think there were bread and butter cultured animals all over the place, supermarket kind of style. You go in, let's go shop and see what they have all day long. I think that's great. That's fine. But, you know, animals that are harder to get, like even scolies, single polyp, wild caught things, I think those should be ordered to collect. You order it and then somebody goes and gets it for you and, and ships it right to you.
Well, the other
store is fine.
Yeah.
Instead
well, the other maddening thing is week in, week out, and this is just a assumption by me. But week in, week out, you see all these scolies being advertised. And again, man, you other reefers out there think I'm being overly negative, but it's like I just know a lot of those gorgeous corals are dying. I know because I've been there. And it's like, how many reef hobbyists are there really? And how many people are really buying these $600 scolies? And how many people have them 6 months afterwards? And how many do we just keep? I don't know. I'm not trying to be Debbie Downer. Wah, wah.
Yeah, I think neither of us want to be like that. We don't want to be the dream crushers, but at the same time, we've seen it, right? And
I'm just saying, be super responsible, educate yourself, and frickin' do your best.
And I would like to see that out of the hands of hobbyists. I think hobbyists should go in and they should be like, oh yeah, I want that. It's really cool. And then the store should go, yeah, I know it's really cool, but we don't sell, we're not, we, as an industry, we don't sell octopus to first-time reef keepers because it's irresponsible.
Yeah.
We just don't do it because they're harder to keep than all of these animals. So keep these animals for this long, and then you can get an octopus if you're still interested.
Yeah. When one of the last stores I ever worked at, I guess I did something kind of dumb. And I don't even know if you can get these anymore, but I ordered a blue ring octopus because I had a guy that told me in passing that he wanted one. So when I saw it on a list, I ordered one and put it in the tank. And it was so stupid because then he came by and I was like, look, there it is. And he goes, well, I was just kidding. And I was like, well, shit. He was so tiny. And I don't even remember whatever happened to him. I put it in a big tank and I was afraid to put my hand in the tank and I fed it. But he just kind of disappeared one day. And I was like, man, I'm not going in after it.
Yeah. I mean, we've said it all. We would just like it to be more responsible.
Just really, my big thing is don't go in a store, see something you really want. And I mean, it's so frustrating because I'm just telling people to have some like self-control. Like, so like, oh shit, I went in there and I saw this like this mimic octopus and it was so super cool. Dude, that's fine. Like, even go to your car, and now that we have Google, and like go Google and just read about it. Just give yourself 15 minutes. Read about it for 15 minutes. And if you
finish up, I'm sorry.
I just say, if you still think that you can do that, then go ahead and do it. But just get something in your head about what it takes.
Yeah. And, I want to say that it has changed, right? We don't see nudibranchs, or I don't see nudibranchs for sale anymore almost ever. And
I know a guy that just recently bought 2 crinoids and put them in a tank and killed them a month later.
Yeah. And I don't see that many crinoids anymore. I don't see that many wild-caught seahorses anymore. I don't see, a lot of the weird stuff that's hard to keep. I don't see so many obligate corallivore butterflies anymore. We used to see Semiviraltas all the time, right? And we don't see those anymore. So I guess I got to remind myself that the hobby has adapted to that stuff. I don't see tons, except sometimes out of Florida. I see those Diogorgia, the red and the yellow, right? Those are non-photosynthetic and they don't live long. But sometimes I see tons of those, and that makes me sad. But like,
I could do like a laundry list of things that used to be sold.
The blueberry gorgonian, I don't see that much anymore.
Yeah.
So that's
remember
really
the Christmas tree or chili coral, the red one with the white.
Right. We don't see.
But the thing too is, Rich, like we've come real far with NPS, non-photosynthetic corals in the food and all that. So, at some point we could try again.
Yeah, but those are the ones that should be more expensive and harder to get. I see those sometimes on some of the seahorse forums, and somebody said, "Oh, I got one, and I'm going to try it." And it's like what experience do you have with NPS? Not much. You're going to feed baby brine. We've done that experiment. We know it doesn't work. We know in 6 months these things just
yeah, but you know, again, the frustrating thing that I see is I've told that to people, and basically they've told me, yeah, but I'm going to try something different, and it's like, dude, you're not Nikola Tesla,
right. You're not Matt Wandell.
Yeah,
right. Matt Wandell, who's finally set up a tank and has gone exactly where you would think he would go for keeping animals that need to eat. You know, he's built a refrigerator with a peristaltic pump, so it's getting fed all the time. And it's like, that's the kind of, you know, if you're doing something,
that's crazy too, because I mean, that's basically how non-photosynthetic goes. It's not like, oh, cool, I put some food in one time today. It's like they need to be eating a lot. And then when you put a lot of input in there, it fouls the water. I mean, you have to be planned for this.
Right. So it's not, you know, going, oh, I'm going to try a bunch of different prepared foods. It's like, but you know, no, don't get that animal.
But again, it's that drive to have that thing at your house so you can watch it, and then it dies and you're like, well, shit, I guess I didn't do that right. And then you get another one, and then I don't know. I would just hope at some point. I mean, I have a whole list of fish and corals that meant, I don't know how many, because, you know, you and I have been doing this for so long. I know there's like a lot of newer hobbyists, but like in the 90s and early 2000s, everyone wanted Goniopora because they were so gorgeous. But back then there was like, and then you remember for a little while, like elegance corals and like in Moorish idols. And it's like, I'm going to try it again. I'm going to try it again. And it's just like, dude, or dudette or non-binary, just like stop. Just let it go. Just let it be in the ocean.
Yep.
You've killed 5 Gonioporas in a row. Just leave them alone.
And now some people are successful with those and with elegance. Every once in a while, I'll try a frag. I probably won't ever do that again. They just don't do well for me.
Yeah.
But at least I'm taking a risk that I kind of understand, and I've done something different in my tank to try to accommodate that animal, and it's a fragment, so it's not, you know, it's cultured. It's not being taken from the wild. But even that, I don't want to do it anymore.
Yeah. No, I know, like take them from the wild, because then if you killed it, it's something that something went and got and blah blah blah. But if it's, you know, cultured somewhere and you kill it, it's just a bud off of something that already lived in captivity. So it's not like you've removed something from the ocean.
I think a lot of this is driven by availability. People always say, you know, educate the hobbyist. It's up to the hobbyist to make responsible choices. I don't necessarily think that that's true. I think hobbyists are going to buy what's available, right? And like this, look, you know, people said, you know, oh, what happens if Hawaii goes away and we can't get yellow tangs anymore, right? Turns out that happened pretty much.
Welcome to the machine.
Nobody cares. Nobody cares that yellow tangs are gone or not available, or that the ones that are available are very expensive, because hobbyists by and large don't care. They're interested in the animals in front of them that they can get. So if the industry supplies animals that people shouldn't have, they're going to keep buying them. But if they stop buying them, and no one cares. No one cares that you can't go in and buy a pair of Arabian butterflies that we know aren't going to live anyway.
There's even little stuff like, you know, I remember selling Catalina gobies. Remember the bright red? And because they're so gorgeous, but you know, they need a cooler water environment. I remember a couple of times selling Garibaldi damsels way before it was not illegal.
You know, there's a lot of the blue spot jawfish that come through from time to time, but when they're not around, nobody cares. And it should be, if there is somebody cares, I really want to try those Rosenblatt. I want them. How do I get them? I'm willing to pay for them. Sure. Someone go collect them and they can give them a try. What I think we want to avoid is the casual hobbyist doing an impulse buy on an animal that needs specialized care, or even more specialized care than we know. So,
and I'm not trying to throw stores under the bus, and I know that there's a wide gamut of stores that have more morals than other stores that don't. But I mean, they have, and trust me, this is not an excuse for them, but you know, they have employees to pay and lights to keep on and livelihoods. but that in itself like causes you to bend your morals to just
Yeah.
keep your bills paid. Like,
But
oh, that guy wants Catalina gobies, I'm gonna get them.
Yeah, if shitty store down the street didn't have, you know, the animals that people shouldn't have, they do bag lot sales and, you know, that kind of shit.
Oh,
They
yeah.
bring in all kinds of weird animals. You know, if they didn't do that, I think nobody would care about not getting those animals. Look, you can't get Nautilus anymore. No one really cares.
Can I tell you a thing that you're going to be like, whatever? I didn't order it. The store owner ordered one in. We had a 350-gallon touch tank, which is like down low with no lid, you know? And so he got in a chambered Nautilus, and I've obviously I knew what they were, but I never asked to have one and didn't really know how to keep it. But I kept it alive for a year and a half just because I used to hand feed it. I didn't know the first damn thing about it. But I was proud of the fact that I kept it alive for a year and a half. And then when it did pass away, the owner said, should we get another one? And I said, fuck no.
No.
Leave him alone.
The first one. So yeah. So maybe it's not as bleak as sometimes I feel it is, you know, because a lot has changed. We see a lot of animals that we think people shouldn't be keeping not offered. So that's pretty great.
I mean, we can't, as hobbyists, we can't run this hobby into the ground just because of our desire to captively keep things and stare at them. And like I said, the only way that I give, as if I'm an entity that it matters, but I'm just saying that I give you a pass as if, you know, you've done all your due diligence and your husbandry and the equipment you get and everything. You're just hell-bent on giving it a good life. Well, then that's the only way you should try it.
Yeah. Now let me throw this out there as we wrap up. Maybe we're assholes. Right?
We could be.
Because we've done all these animals we say shouldn't be kept.
Yeah.
Right. We've had that experience. And on the other side of it, we are saying people shouldn't keep those. Now, I think when I was coming up, I would have been fine if I didn't have those animals. Right. I was a product of the supermarket approach where, you know, oh, that animal's there. It's really cool. I want to get it because it's really cool. But, you know, I would have thought freaking, you know, clownfish were really cool too, if there wasn't, you know, some Spanish dancer next to it.
Yeah. No, and I'm not trying to sound like a saint because I certainly am not. But I mean, I even remember back in the day arguing with store managers about like, hey, quit ordering Catalina gobies. I just read, because I was such a hobbyist nerd. Like I'd go home and I'd read Fama magazine. I'd read articles about how Catalina gobies are a temperate water thing. And I'd go back and tell the boss, like, hey, man, quit ordering Catalina gobies. And, you know, I've had bosses before that would say, you care too much. We're just trying to make a buck. And I was like, dude. And that's when I'd move to the next store.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Cool. Any other octopus? We got way into basically
other stuff.
A preview of what may be our Aquashella keynote talk.
Yeah, no, but I think it's funny too. Like we basically encapsulated what both of us feel about that is like, if you want to keep octopus, do a lot of studying before you do it. And then also probably just don't do it.
Yeah. Right. If you want to fly a drone, are you going to start with an expensive FPV? Or are you going to get a $200 trainer drone and play with that for a little while and see if you actually care?
Oh, this is funny. Jonathan Gordon private messaged me, the owner of Terra Reef.
Yeah.
Messaged me a little while ago. The little notification came down. It's like, when are you going to record episode number 18? Well, guess what, bro? We're recording it right now. And I say,
Jonathan.
Thank you, Terra Reef. If you really want to know,
thank you.
Holy cow, earthquake.
That was you.
Earthquake in Texas.
Oh no, an earthquake in Texas. Yay, Terra Reef. Shop.terrareef.com.
Yeah.
I'm really excited about the Aquashella keynote now because I think I felt like everything I want to do is doom and gloom, but the angle that we really have changed. We are really not offering animals that we should, you don't see that many octopuses for sale anymore.
Yeah.
You don't, I remember when the Wonderpuss first hit, 2006, 2008 or so, when it was described and it was the most exciting thing for divers to see. That's why it's called Wonderpuss photogenicus, because they were taking pictures of it, and they're so cool. But you could get them a dime a dozen all the time, and you can't now. And that's good, because people, I used to put big disclaimers on every post or every article about, don't get this animal. So knowing that, realizing through this discussion that it's actually changed, I think this will make a better keynote, because we can have a positive message rather than a don't be a dick message, or we can hide our don't be a dick message inside the positive message.
Yeah. Let's do that.
I'm
and
excited
you do mention Aquashella. That's in Orlando. I believe it's June 11th and 12th.
Yeah. And we're speaking together on Sunday at 4:00.
And we might hold hands under the table.
Oh, I think we're going to do more than hold hands under the table.
That's not my hand.
It's Aquashella. We'll put the shell in Aquashella.
Yeah.
So we just talked a whole lot about, ethics and things like that. I also think I really like it, and I think beefers like it when we talk about practical stuff. So I think the best way to get us to talk about practical stuff, because this is the kind of stuff we talk about at conventions after the show over a drink. We talk about this kind of esoteric, kind of meta hobby stuff. We do love the other stuff as well. I think the best way to get us to talk about that on the show is to become a member and ask the beef a question.
Yeah, like for real, like you're like, I have a 20-gallon and I don't know if I should put a skimmer on it, and this is what I'm keeping. Become a member and ask him. We'll ask it live.
Yeah, we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it to death. Like we talked about Brooks's question last week. And Brooks was like, his comment was something like, hey, I just wanted to know if more water volume was worth doing. And we went on for 20 minutes about, which kind of container you should use.
And I made fun of him for being plural, and also for him having a trash can next to his reef tank.
I love the trash can thing. Use what you got.
Yeah.
Keep it cheap. So yeah,
put a blanket over it and put a flower on top.
Yeah, and I think, thank you everyone for buying us a beer on the Buy Us a Beer. I think Buy Us a Beer, the minimum is $5. I think the minimum membership is $8. So become
Jose Estevez bought us like 80,000 beers.
80,000 beers. But if you become a member, he could be asking us questions.
Yeah.
So
buy me a beer, ask a question. Yeah. Come on.
So help us drive the content to what you want, and
help us help you.
Help us help you. All right, Ben, we're out of time. That was fun.
Thank you, beefers.
Thank you so much, beefers, and we'll be beefing at you next week.
Share, subscribe, tell your friends, get a shirt. We have shirts. We have merch.
Put frog in the comments, which somebody has already done for last week's episode. It's awesome. All right, man. Ben and your little weird David Carradine love doll behind you.
All right, Magneto.
Which I think is now the name of the episode. David
Carradine love doll.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not nickel bag of ground beef.
Nickel bag of reef beef. That's better.
Nickel bag of funk. Was that Diggable Planets? Are you down with Diggable Planets?
I'm down with OPP.
Yeah, you know me.
It's tricky to rock a rhyme that's right in time. It's tricky.
Run DMC and Jam Master J.
My Adidas. Oh,
and then that makes me think of a Korn song, All Day I Dream About Sex.
Well, that's just
gratuitous.
Yeah. All right. Later, beefers.
Later, beefers. We love you.
Thank you.
The thing is going up your neck.
What's this? My collar.
Okay, but listen, and any of this could be used for blooper material. But listen, you asked me what magneto helmet was that, and now, so I had no answer. So what's the friggin' answer?
I'm not telling you. You won't. No, by your answer, I knew that you don't know anything about it anyway. So
no, I know a fair amount of Magneto. I know he's Charles Xavier's brother.
What?
His uncle's cousin's former nephew.
No, they're clones of each other.
That's not true.
God, you're so dumb.
Oh yeah? Do you know that the Juggernaut is related to Charles Xavier?
Yeah.
By that red stone and some like evil god?
What happened to you this week?
It's just nonstop raining.
Oh my
I think
God.
the water, all the rain diluted my brain.
I hope
and so my
fucking...
already feeble brain processing power is further diluted.
I hope you're bald. It looks like you're some fucking bald clown under that hat.
Oh, like I'm not bald.
Don't. Oh, you've ruined my fucking fantasy.
I don't want to be bald though.
It was a fantasy. It wasn't true.
I don't live for your fantasies. You would think I look like Gallagher? Like I look like a pencil with the eraser chewed off?
A little bit.
I'm going to smash a watermelon in your face.
He had one really funny joke.
Who?
Gallagher.
He did? What was it?
I'm not telling you.
God damn it. What's you and your secrets?
He said the joke was, I think everyone should have a dart gun when they're driving, and with a big suction cup on it that said dummy on it. And when somebody does something stupid, you shoot their car with it. They cut you off, you shoot their car with it. And if they have 5 on their car, they get a ticket.
That's not that funny.
And neither is your fucking face.
I used to watch him when I was a kid. I remember being entertained, but I just remember him smashing vegetables.
Yeah, he used to watch you too.
Yeah, I bet you he did. He used to watch me in the crib when I was naked.
That's a good ad.
I like the nickel bag of beef.
Nickel bag of beef. Nickel bag of beef. Nickel bag of beef.
Puff, puff, pass the beef.
Pass the beef, baby.
I just look like I'm high. I'm not actually high.
Oh, yeah, right. Fucking Texan.
Yeah.